Frank. FrankXReagan, it's nice to see you once again. Hold on, let me turn down this sound, man. Those sounds are going a little bit too crazy. Okay. As I was saying, hello, FrankXReagan. It's nice to see you once again. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for asking. How are things going in the Milton City Police Department?
I mean, they're going pretty good. As you know, Milton came out on January 10th, which was 4 days ago. Uh, we've seen a lot in the past 4 days in terms of this community and especially this department. Um, as the community should be aware, we've accepted 12, um, including myself, 12 command applicants um, who have worked in the department since the 3rd of January, trying to prepare for, or not the 3rd of January, sorry, December, where we've kind of tried to get the department ready for release. On top of that, we are graduating 20 cadets in the next few days. I believe we have 6 cadets that are just on their final steps of the academy. All of the other cadets are on probation or have already become fully fledged officers off of probation. So I'd say we're making pretty great strides um, for 4 days. Um, it's been a really great time around these parts.
Okay. So, let me ask you this. Are there any unexpected challenges you had to face so far?
To be honest, not that come to mind. As I said, I came into this position after speaking with developer oversight and applying to the position. Once I was granted it, I was kind of talking with developer oversight and kind of building what I like to call my dream team. From there, once I was able to kind of extend positions to 2 other members, my patrol services captain Clownhunks and my internal affairs lieutenant Leo is okay. Us three kind of worked together for weeks, months at making sure we can get the department right where it needs to be upon release. And then on top of that, like I said, when we brought in the other 9 command members, they started to pull their weight and, everyone working together, we were just able to prepare for any situation that we had heading towards us. So I think for the 4 days that we've been in service, we've been working really well together. There hasn't been really any issues that couldn't be resolved within minutes, and none that kind of affected the department's actual uh, capacity to operate.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you this. You said there's been about what 4 days of this department really being a thing. Are you really enjoying it?
I'd say I strive for this kind of position, honestly. As you know, I was a two-time sheriff, and now I'm the Milton City police chief of department, and I think that I enjoy this type of job, and specifically this one. I think it's important that you know I was selected for this position to build the department right from scratch, um, and really choose what I see as best fit for the department. So being able to do that, it makes it enjoyable. Kind of designing it how you need it to work, and knowing what works and what doesn't work, and then really having the ability to change the community a little bit as you go. Um, Especially with law enforcement in this community, and especially these days as everyone kind of comes around Milton expecting the best experience just because of how new it is to the community and how everyone wants to kind of play in it. I think it's really cool to see, and I think I enjoyed a lot, and I think a lot of my officers enjoy their jobs, considering that we've had numerous transfers and even some first-time applicants to department. You know, they enjoy it, so I'd say it's a pretty enjoyable experience for myself and my officers.
Okay, interesting. Hold on. Okay, so next question. What kind of vibe are you trying to bring to the MCPD?
I think it's a vibe of realism on top of kind of being, as cringy as it sounds, a family. Uh, in the past 4 days, we've gone through like the academy, as I was saying, and just patrolling together and kind of getting to know each other a lot better. And I think between me and my command, and then me and my officers, and even my officers with their command and officers with the officers, like all of us together, we've just been able to be like a lot closer. We're patrolling together, even though there isn't like a regulation on like officers being forced to patrol with each other. You see a lot of them, even if they're not like considered friends or like really close. They're kind of putting themselves in those situations where they can get close and like learn from each other and see all those different aspects. So, it's kind of a community where you can come here, you can thrive, you can get other promotions that you hoped for in other departments because obviously we are a new department, we have a lot of open spots. And it's just a community where everyone wants to elevate each other. There's not really this toxicity or any issues. So I think it's just a department where the vibe is relaxed, but you know what you have to do and everyone gets their job done.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are applications going to be focusing, sorry, are applications going to be a focus of the next few months to get more officers in the department, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so like I said, we're pushing through about 20 cadets in this academy. Um, so I think after after we have these cadets through and we're making sure everything is handled on that end, I'm gonna sit down with my command team and reevaluate what we need to be doing. Obviously, we've seen an increase of civilian activity. Before Milton released, obviously, the need for cops wasn't as high. It was the opposite. We needed more civilians. But now that Milton came out, I think there's a need for more police officers at times. So I wouldn't be opposed to opening applications. Obviously, with LETC possibly releasing applications, it'd be cool to see, them get a class through and possibly put some, fresh law enforcement into the streets of Milton, as well as transfers and any other department members from other departments that might want to experience what a city police department looks like, whether it be from Palmer, the sheriff's office, or the state police. They can always apply to transfer to our department and be a part of our family.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Are there any, is the MCPD planning on any public affairs events in the future?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the big things about law enforcement in this community is they love their public events, and so does the community. It really brings everyone together. Um, what we're trying to do is kind of gauge where the best spots are in the city to do so, to host those events and really gather the community as one. It's a really big city. There's a lot of fun things to do. So we're trying to get our community together and kind of talk about what we can do that'll really, get the community involved while also having a really good time because that's what it's all about. It's about everyone having fun. So we're just trying to think of the best ideas so that, civilians can do that.
Mm, okay. So another question for you, Mr. Reagan. How will the MCPD be different from other departments in the state of Ridgeway with regard to public trust and transparency?
So I think it all comes down to like being open and kind of what we talked about before, like the public affairs, having events so the community can get involved with your department and put a name to a face. And then not sure if the people of the Palmer Times have seen it, but the Milton City Police Department did release a ComStat report where we go over every arrest and citation that was logged by members of the Milton City Police Department. So it basically takes the stats each week, it compiles it into a report, and then we show the change in crimes and what we've arrested for, what we issued citations for, and hopefully in the future the locations of those crimes, so that we know we're able to give that to the community and kind of show you, we see an up. Let's for say for example we see an increase at crime in the Rancine Junction. So we're going to station more officers there. So when they see more officers responding to crimes in that area, they know that we're trying to do something for the betterment of them. And then it all comes down to one of the big things I was, a fan of when I was sheriff was releasing public releases when command shifts would happen, whether that be firing, hiring, moving around, anything like that. Just keeping the public informed, whether it be a document or just a simple Discord message. making sure there's not something that they have to like be guessing about. Just keeping them straight on the line of what needs to be said.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you think that other departments in the state should take a similar approach, logging arrests and then providing those reports to the public?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts anyone for sure. I think it's one of the best things that my department has came up with so far. I think it really shows you what we can do as a police department to help the citizens. Like I said, if we notice that one of our parts of our city is being attacked by crime a lot more than another, we can obviously station more officers in that area from time to time instead of, wasting resources in an area where you might not see as much crime. Now, it's not to say that we're going to, abandon a certain area just to focus on another one. It's just saying that, if you spend 5 minutes at the junction compared to 10 minutes at the docks where there's not as much crime, if you switch that up, then you're obviously going to see a decrease in crime there. So it's all about playing the numbers right and using the data to our benefit.
Very interesting. So, next question. What made you want to switch departments? You said you were in the county sheriff's office before as a two-time sheriff. Why not stay with Ridgeway County Sheriff's Office?
Right. So there's Milton was a big project for the developer oversight and this community in general. Everyone wanted to see the release of this department come out, and the city itself come out. So I think the main factor in me transferring to the Milton City Police Department from the sheriff's office was just the idea that we needed someone to build this department from literally the ground. There was nothing made for this department, no policies, no nothing. So I think having someone that was a two-time sheriff, knows what the law enforcement community is about, and knows what the civilians want, I think putting it all together, made me realize like I can do that, and I will do that instead of staying in a position where I'm not given much to do. When I was in the sheriff's office after I was done being county sheriff, I was an advisory lieutenant. Now, as much as I liked that position, I didn't really have any, you know, ability to do something that would benefit the department. So I figure, go back to where I could do something, the Milton City Police Department, start it from scratch and really make a big deal out of what our city can be.
Okay, very interesting. Now, what are some major issues the city is facing and how do you plan to solve them?
I think the major issue right now, and I think it goes without even saying, is just the crime rate. Um, Milton has been a hotspot for criminals just because it's so brand new. It is large, like I've mentioned, so people can just go through and kind of drive through the junction and avoid cops or do whatever. They can hold the rooftops of apartment buildings or Pinkerton or whatever it is. So I think it's just been really fun for the criminals to come into our city and wreak havoc. Um, but the one thing that we are doing, like I said before, is CompStat. You know, it gives us the data that we need wherever we're seeing the most arrest and citations. For instance, if we see, a ton of activity at Pinkerton where there's constant holds on top of the roof, we can assign more officers to that area so that we have, kind of a more secure location there. And other than that, it's just all about preventative policing. Having more officers on duty is always a good thing, but requesting our friends at the state police and sheriff's office to help out at times too. Milton City Police Department is very capable of stopping crime, so we just have to keep doing what we're doing, making sure that we limit any opportunities for criminals to do what they like to do.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you one last question and maybe some follow-up questions. With there now being three active road states, these including Ridgeway, Mayflower, and Firestone, do you think the MCPD is prepared to handle events concerning state-to-state relations?
Yeah, so I think about this in realistically two ways. I think about it as in civil foreign relations and any kind of, you know, aggressive foreign relations. First, there's civil. You go to any kind of event where row states are meeting together, whether they come here or we go there, and you have to worry about security. There's obviously going to be criminals who just want to shoot the event up and ruin it for everybody. But the Milton City Police Department can handle security on events. We're very prepared for everything that will be thrown our way. I think, you know, let's say for example they hold an event at the Rancine Estate. I think the Milton City Police Department is more than prepared to handle any exterior security, interior security. Geez, I'm sorry. And then you talk about the foreign events where they become aggressors, and you have people like our wars before. You know, the Milton City Police Department is very, active. We're able to stop crime. So in case that any wars do arise, we're always willing to lend a hand to our government and, secure our city because that's not something we mess with.
Okay. Do you have any concerns that, like just from foreign relations in general, anything that may happen or, again, that may just garner concern from you as the police chief?
The government's affairs in in politics with other nations is their position. My position is making sure that the Milton City Police Department runs well and that they do their jobs and that we protect the city of Milton. Um, on top of that, I try to help with the law enforcement as much as I can, whether it be through the Senate or through any other parts like that. The whole foreign thing, I stay out of. That's above my pay grade, and I like to keep it that way. Um, Sometimes I advise on stuff, whether like in regards to law enforcement and kind of legislator questions that I think will benefit from my advice. But other than that, with foreign relations, I try to steer clear of because I don't want to get involved in all that.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Before we end this, do you have any closing statements for the people of Ridgeway and any other people who may be listening from out of state?
Yeah, I think if you're out of state, if you're out of state, you definitely should, visit Ridgeway, get involved if you can. Definitely visit Milton. Speak to a couple of our police officers, especially if law enforcement's your thing. Speak to some law enforcement officers that work in the city of Milton. Um, get a law enforcement certification if you can, or join whatever department fits you. If whether that be the Justice Department, Parks, whatever it is. I think being involved in Ridgeway is a really good thing. Um, it's a fun community. And then if you're listening from inside the state, I think get involved as you can. Um, there's a lot of opportunities. Like I said, Justice Department, Fire Department, anything like that. And then on top of it, the Milton City Police Department is trying to hire more civilian employees as we go. Legal counsel, the CompStat analyst, um, public event coordinators in the future, and just stuff like that. So I think getting involved any way you can is really the best thing to do.
All right. Well, Mr. Reagan, that's all the questions from me today. I'd like to thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it. And this has been Jay McClaw with the Palmer Times. To all you listening, I hope you have a wonderful night. See ya.